All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tackling what is honestly the ultimate modern superpower in our hyper-connected, always-on society. And that is the ability to just focus. No distractions, just deep concentration. We're unpacking the core concepts from Cal Newport's amazing work on this topic. I mean, think about it for a second. In a world pinging with constant notifications, the ability to truly lock in on hard, cognitively demanding tasks, it's becoming incredibly rare. But it turns out it's the exact skill we all need to actually succeed. So let's dive right in and unpack the architecture of how to build this focus together. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to hit the distraction dilemma first, then unpack the real value of deep work. After that, we get super practical with rewiring for depth, taming the shallows, and finally, how you can actually join the focused few. Section 1, the distraction dilemma. Let's talk about the constant noise. We really have to start with this massive tension between producing real value and, well, just trying to survive in a noisy world. Answer this honestly for me. How much of your day is actually spent thinking? I'm not talking about reacting or quickly firing off emails. I mean head down, intense thinking. For most of us, if we're being real, our days are completely hijacked by distraction before we've even had our morning coffee. Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast between our two modes of working. On one side, you have deep work. This is where you're pushing your abilities to their absolute limit to create real, undeniable value. But the trap is shallow work. These are those cognitively undemanding, easily replicated tasks we do while we're completely distracted. And let's face it, modern office cultures kind of celebrate this illusion of busyness. They trap us in the shallow end of the pool, where we feel super productive, but we aren't actually creating anything of lasting value. Moving into section 2, the value of deep work, why this is an absolute modern necessity. Look, intense focus isn't just some trendy productivity hack, right? It's literally career survival. In our new economy, the people who actually thrive are the ones who can work with complex machines and those who become absolute superstars in their fields. So how do you get there? Well, it requires two foundational skills. First, you have to master hard things quickly. Second, you have to be able to produce at an elite level. Deep work is the absolute core foundation for both of these. You simply cannot master complex new software or write a world-class strategy while you're simultaneously scrolling through social media. It just doesn't work. But here's the wild paradox. While deep work is incredibly valuable, it's also getting super rare. Why is that? Well, just look at the current business trends. We build these massive open offices hoping for serendipitous collaboration, but mostly we just get constant interruptions. We rely on instant communication tools like Slack that demand our attention right this second. And on top of that, there's this immense pressure to maintain a 24/7 social media presence. Every single one of these trends actively ruins intense concentration. But when you do manage to cut through all that noise, oh man, something amazing happens. Deep work isn't just about cranking out output. It's deeply, deeply fulfilling. It actually allows us to enter flow states. That's a psychological state where your mind is stretched to its absolute limit to achieve something difficult but totally worthwhile. And from a neurological standpoint, spending time in the zone trains your brain to ignore the negatives and really savor the positives. It's incredibly satisfying. All right, section 3, rewiring for depth. It is time to train that concentration muscle. Because concentration really is a muscle. And if you've been splashing around in the shallow end for a long time, that muscle has atrophied. We have to actively train it, using the first two rules: work deeply and embrace boredom. Step 1 is figuring out how deep work actually fits into your chaotic life. We've got the monastic approach. This is extreme. You eliminate almost all shallow work and completely isolate yourself, kind of like a novelist hiding out in a cabin. Then there's bimodal, where you clearly split your time, maybe taking a whole week for deep work and the next week for regular stuff. The rhythmic approach builds it into a rock-solid daily habit, like writing every single morning from 7 to 9 a.m. And finally, the journalistic approach. This is for folks who can pivot instantly, jamming deep work into whatever random pockets of time they find. Take a second right now to think about which of these philosophies best fits your professional reality. Once you pick your philosophy, you have to ritualize it. Every time you switch tasks, your brain actually suffers from something called attention residue. Basically, part of your mind is still completely stuck on that last email you read. To beat this, you need a strict ritual. First, establish a specific location, a spot your brain associates with nothing but focus. Second, set a strict duration for how long you're staying there. And third, create hard rules for yourself. For example, absolutely no internet access during that block of time, period. Now, to actually pull this off day to day, you need a system. Keep your deep work laser focused on just a few wildly important goals so you aren't spreading yourself too thin. Keep a visible scoreboard tracking the actual hours you spend in the zone. Hold regular accountability reviews with yourself. But listen, here is perhaps the most crucial and honestly the most relieving part of the whole system. Prioritize your downtime. You absolutely need a daily shutdown ritual. At the end of the day, disconnect completely. This recharge time is essential because it literally lets your subconscious mind untangle complex problems while you're resting. Okay, get ready, because rule 2, embrace boredom, is a totally counterintuitive concept. Most of us live our whole lives in a state of constant distraction, and we occasionally take a break to focus. Newport says we need to flip this entirely upside down. Focus should be the default resting state of your brain. You should be taking scheduled breaks from focus to briefly give in to distraction, not the other way around. So the whole point here is that you have to ramp up your intensity to train that concentration muscle. It's like doing reps at the gym. How do you do that? 2 awesome techniques. First, compress your timelines. Give yourself drastically reduced, totally artificial deadlines for hard tasks. This literally forces your brain into intense focus out of sheer panic and necessity. Second, try productive meditation. Take a period of physical activity, like going for a jog or a walk, and deliberately point your attention at one single professional problem. When your mind wanders, bring it back, over and over. It's a game changer. Which brings us to section 4, taming the shallows. How to actively defend your depth. We've talked a lot about building depth, but now you've got to actively defend it. That brings us to rules 3 and 4. Quitting social media and aggressively draining the shallow work from your schedule so it stops hijacking your time. Let's look at the tools we use. Instead of just blindly assuming all connection is good, apply the classic 80-20 rule to your digital habits. Identify which tools actually contribute to your wildly important goals. You should only use a digital tool if it has a substantial, measurable, positive impact that completely blows its distracting negatives out of the water. Everything else is just noise. Now, if you aren't entirely sure which tools are actually valuable to you, try this wild experiment, the 30-day embargo. Completely stop using your social media services for a full month. And here's the kicker. Do it without announcing that you're leaving. No dramatic farewell posts. At the end of the 30 days, ask yourself honestly, was my life actually any worse? Did anyone even care that I was gone? If the answer is no, well, you've got objective proof right there that you don't need that tool. So what's your target for managing whatever shallow work is left? Because the goal isn't to eliminate it entirely, right? That's impossible for 99% of jobs. The goal is to limit it to an ideal quota of about 30 to 50% of your time. And how do you know if a task is shallow? Ask yourself this. How long would it take me to train a smart, fresh out of college graduate to do this exact task? If it wouldn't take very long, it's shallow work. Track it and cap it. Honestly, the ultimate defense mechanism against all these shallow tasks creeping in is to schedule your entire day. Be completely, ruthlessly deliberate. Account for every single minute in specific time blocks. Now, obviously, you need to leave some buffer room for contingencies and emergencies, but the point is, you want to dictate to your schedule what you will be doing rather than letting your chaotic inbox dictate your day to you. And finally, you have to limit your accessibility. Set hard boundaries using fixed schedule productivity. Refuse to work past a set time, say 5:30 p.m., no matter what is happening. When you're dealing with emails, make the sender work a little harder. Don't just blindly reply to every single thing. Use process-centric replies. That means you outline the exact next steps to close the loop right then and there, rather than starting a 50-message back-and-forth chain. And honestly, give yourself the permission to completely ignore ambiguous or totally irrelevant messages. And that leads us to our final section, Section 5, joining the focused few, transforming your life. We've mapped out this whole journey, from being chronically distracted to becoming deeply intentionally focused. By embracing these 4 rules, working deeply, embracing boredom, quitting unnecessary social media, and draining the shallows. As Cal Newport puts it perfectly, individuals can leave the distracted masses and join the focused few, leading to a more productive, valuable, and fulfilling life. Applying these concepts isn't just a way to get more emails sent. It is a fundamental transformation in how you work and how you actually experience your life day to day. Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought. As you look at your schedule for tomorrow morning, the choice is entirely in your hands. Are you going to remain comfortable but completely scattered with the distracted masses? Or are you going to do the hard work to join the focused few? The architecture is right there, waiting for you to build it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope you start cultivating your concentration today.